The trial for the former CBN Governor Godwin Emefiele has resumed again yesterday, where we're seeing the former SGF talking about Boss Mustapha testifying against the allegation that came up about $6.2 million concerning money that was given to foreign observers for the 2023 election. Good afternoon and welcome to Nigeria Now, where we look at some of the issues that are happening presently in Nigeria. I am Sele Elishdasho, and I'll be in the program alongside Rachel Tansey. Good afternoon.
Afternoon, Sele.
How you doing?
I'm fine. How about you?
Fabulous. Thank you so much. All right, we shall go straight into the topics we will be discussing. Remember, you can be part of the conversation. Drop your comment or your views on our social media handles, Facebook and on YouTube as well. Now, talking about the issue of the former CBN governor, there has been a back and forth from last year when he was being arrested by the EFCC, and then one trial after another. He was in the Kuje prison, he was out, and then we saw the back and forth between the correctional service officials and the DSS, and then later on there was just a back and forth. He was suspended. I think he spent Christmas in prison as well because he didn't meet up the bill excuse me, he didn't meet up the bill payment or whatever things he was supposed to do concerning the bill. And then we saw he spent the Christmas, and then we are having a resumption again where there was an allegation of he asked the payment of about $6.2 million for payment of foreign observers, and that came from workers in the CBN bank over there. And then we're seeing Boss Mustapha coming out to say, you know what, I have nothing to do with this. In fact, the former president is not even aware of this. From the look of the document, it seems as if it was a forged document. So right now, Boss Mustapha is saying, I have nothing to do with this. The president have nothing to do with this. So this is all on the former CBN governor. And you know, at the time where we've been pushing for accountability, transparency, eradication of not just hunger, but also looking at the fact that there should be house cleaning for corruption, and then we're seeing that things are coming up like this. And of course, a lot of Nigerians were excited when this whole back and forth, especially the interrogation of the former CBN governor, allegations have been coming out of the fact that he has been making printing of money, and then no one that he's part of the reason why Nigeria is where it is presently with that devaluation of Naira. You can talk about the many other things that happened during his regime as a CBN governor. And then a number of people are saying he shouldn't be dragged alone. There are other people he was working with, so why don't we have those other people also answering together? But I mean, this is what is happening presently, and then I believe that this is far from being over, because more interrogation will be going on concerning this issue of this money being paid to observers or whatsoever name is being mentioned.
Salah, you know, this is one of those cases that is kind of interesting and things are just unfolding. However, it looks like Emefiele is taking the fall for what he shouldn't be the only one taking the fall for. First of all, that was one of the major things we started talking about when this whole trial started at the case, and all the allegations, over 20 count charges of fraudulent transfer transactions, left, right, center, misappropriations in the Central Bank of Nigeria. And then up till now, nobody has given us the release of the investigation that took place for the Central Bank of Nigeria. What was it? We just have a little bits and pieces here, but nobody, how can you talk about an investigation in details, and then when openly, and then when the investigation is concluded and is done, then nothing is being made public again, and then it stops there, and then we go on from where we are as if we weren't told that investigations into the Central Bank of Nigeria was going on. Now that's aside, and that's why I'm looking at it as so many cover-ups, and we are seeing Emefiele taking fall for what could have been. Now, why I said that, and this could just be me speculating, because obviously I don't have any proof. However, I haven't seen, or perhaps before I was more knowledgeable or knew the Nigerian government better than now, I haven't seen a central bank governor that has worked closely with the president like Emefiele. We can all attest to that. Even when it comes to the to currency redesign and all of that, there was nothing that Emefiele was doing that didn't have the full backing of President Buhari. didn't have the full go ahead, and he stood his ground because he had backing from the president. And even sometimes the president will even come out. We remember the saga that went on concerning
Even when the Supreme
currency.
Court gave a ruling, and then
This all happened between the period of election. So for someone working so closely with the government, with the president at that period of time, currency circulate, new design, approval from the presidency, and deadline for when these currencies will stop being, all of these things, including this, happened during the 2023 general elections. And for some reason, a sum of $6.2 million will be signed in, and for some reason who say that, you know what, the president is not aware of it, or this is some kind of independent act by the Central Bank of Nigerian governor. Is it possible? 100%. Is it impossible? It's also 100%. So we can leave it at a 50% chance. Now, however, all of these things, I like it because these are things that could be further looked into. We saw what Mustafa is saying concerning, you know what, when a letter comes with the seal of Nigeria, it means it already makes a passing. There's no need for any signature, blah, blah, blah. And then it's a forged document. This is not the president's signature, and all of that. Now, for me, I feel there's need for experts to step in to look at this signature. Is it forged or not? And then this is when we can now move on and say, okay, you know what, the findings came out, it was forged, and then we can say, yes, it's truly fraudulent, or it came out not forged, and then we can move on from there. But as it is now, it's just still my knowledge against your knowledge. From what I have seen written by Mustafa, talking about, oh, a letter from the president should not have these attached. No, it's a letter from the central bank governor coming to you. It's not from the president. He is the one needing you to sign this for the approval of so money that have been signed from by the president and all of that. So it is just because it's based on what I understand over what you understand, based on what documents I work with and what documents I don't work with and all of that. And everything is still not clear. It's still in a very big chunk as far as I'm concerned. And it's also too early for Nigerians to conclude and say, okay, you know what, Emefiele is a criminal here. Or to say, and we know that the Interpol is being involved into this for the other three controllers that were in charge and forged, and that's the CBN controllers that were together with the Emefiele and forged the signatory and all of that. And then until we get all of these people, until there is proof that, you know what, this is absolutely a forged signature, then before we can move on from there, and then Emefiele can be solely responsible for such forgery and all of that. But until now, it's too early for any conclusion. However, such cannot just be done by one person, and not just Emefiele, but just, you know what, there's a chain of money and how things flow in the country. I keep saying it. It's easy to pinpoint and say this person must be involved, that person must be involved, so have to go through, there's a channel, this and that. And I just truly hope that everybody will be called to book at the end of the day. And you know something, I don't want Boss Mustafa speaking on behalf of the president of Nigeria. If he said it's his signature until otherwise being proven, I believe the president should also, you know what, talk for himself. You are now a normal citizen. I mean, you're a president. You're not above the law. And if there's things, I just really want, you know, the same way Boss Mustafa took the stand, gave his own account of everything. I also think, I know a lot of people might differ from this, but I also feel Buhari should take the stand.
Well, you know the reason why the president might not actually take a weakness, because Boss Mustafa was the Secretary of the Federation too. So automatically he has so much power. Nothing gets in and outside the office of the president, ideally. without the knowledge of the Secretary General of the Federation or the Secretary Federation, however we want to put it, because he has a very key power. It's just about talking about the SecGen in any organization. You have so much power. In fact, you have the power to even indict the president without his knowledge. And then he will take the force. So possibly, maybe that is the reason why Boss Mustafa have to take the witness box on behalf of the president, because it's assumed or ideally.
But there were so many closed doors and private meetings that Emefiele had with the president at that period of time. So what are we saying? Those meetings didn't took place with the SGF at
he's
that
supposed
time,
to document everything, whatever meeting is like. That's the reason why I said ideally.
Yeah.
So just like you mentioned, they were closed door meetings, but you know, in an ideal situation, for whatever meeting, there should be secretary that will be putting down everything, pen and paper together. But then we're just going to keep our fingers crossed. When you're talking about more experts than needed, I just couldn't help but take my mind back to the governor of Ondo State while he was still alive, where there were speculation that his signature was being forged while he was feeling fine out of that. And we had external body rather coming in together with the internal body to verify was his signature really forged or not. And I'm surprised, after he's dead, I've not heard anything about that again. So the whole situation is under the carpet. But then I just hope, just like you said, we'll have more experts to check into this thing, because it's obvious there is much more than what the eye can see in this situation, because you made mention of the fact that he's not the only one in this. He was working with some other people. So we believe that if our system is working, Rachel, if we're really going to be having justice, then the rest of the people that were working with him should also face the full wrath of the law. Shouldn't be the only person taking it. So making it look as if he's the only bad person that stole the entire funds of Nigeria. Meanwhile, there are other people who are relaxing and are also part of this. So we just hope, just like you said, that more interrogation will be done into this, and we are hoping that it will be brought to the forefront of Nigerians, because we made mention we're yet to have documents of the investigation. Supposed to be ready by now, but we wonder what is happening. Now we're seeing that Falana is urging Nigeria to join BRICS. I mean, we remember last week he actually sued the federal government to court, and the court gave the federal government 7 days, which is supposed to elapse today or tomorrow, that they need to look into the issue of coming in and also helping to control the prices of goods, petroleum and other products in the market, because we know the prices of things are outrageously high right now. So he went to court, and the court actually gave their ruling and said, you know what, you need to do something. And ever since we saw when the president came back into town, set up a committee trying to open the reserve, do this and that and that and that and all of that. And now we're seeing in an interview yesterday, he was actually talking about the fact that, you know what, the reason why things are working the way they are working in Nigeria is because we've refused to do the needful. And what he meant by the needful is the fact that we keep talking about the fact that unless our naira is in demand, it can never ever gain value. And he mentioned the fact that, you know what, we need to make our own naira in such a way that, or we need to make our system in such a way that we are one of the oil producing countries. So if we are one of the oil producing countries, then anybody that wants to buy the oil should buy it in our own currency. That is the only way that will make our own naira to be valuable, because we know, as far as we're concerned, that is the only big commodity we have that we sell, and we don't sell anything again apart from that. Now, he made mention of the fact that, I mean, there are other countries as well that are actually trying to make their own currency to be valuable. And that was where the mention of BRICS came in, the likes of China, the likes of South Africa, and many other countries that, you know what, during the BRICS meeting, you and I mentioned the fact that, I mean, Nigeria just attended, but we are not part of the BRICS. So it actually surprised me that, I mean, we're supposed to be looking at what we have, but it's just that it's unfortunate that our system is not working the way it should for us to actually brag also and say, you know what, we're BRICS and all of that. But then there is need for a lot of things. He also mentioned the fact that what the IMF is saying with the hardship Nigerians are going through, and then you want to add more hardship to them. And I said that's a suicide mission, if you ask me, because telling Nigerians or telling the government to actually remove electricity subsidy, I mean, they're trying to tell Nigerians that they can go to hell for all you care. But I'm hoping that, you know what, with all Falana have said, we are looking for other bodies coming together to say, you know what, this senior advocate of Nigeria is very right. There are a number of things that are happening, and are being swept under the carpet. And if we don't do the needful, it's just about next 2, 3, 4, 5, or even 10 years. The way Nigeria will not be a country that anybody will love to even invest or do anything with us except we do the needful. So I really think that this is a very serious stand that the federal government needs to take, because we're tired of having bodies coming to tell us what to do in our country, how to run our country, and not having an idea what is actually happening here. So it's more like interference on what the government is supposed to do. He made mention of the fact that the only body that have the right to actually advise the government is the national, the NEC. They are the only people who have the right, and that's made up of the state governor, CBN governor, and the Minister of Finance. Apart from them, nobody else have the right to advise the Nigerian government what to do concerning the economy of the country, because they are the only people who really have an idea what is going on in the country. And I believe that this is really, really something the government should really take seriously and look into it if only we want to progress as a country.
As much as I love Falana's passion for Nigeria, the truth is that we're nowhere close to the countries that are in BRICS. We can say the same thing for G20. We saw that we just go and attend, but we're not members. And then we can bring that down to also BRICS. Also, it started with BRIC, then later on the S for South Africa joining because of their potential and all of that. We are nowhere close to these countries. Now, it might be interesting for us to, to want to sell oil in Naira. But a lot of people, we also need to understand that while we are being able to see some amount of oil revenue, as we do see it, is because we are under OPEC. We might be an oil producing country. And the fact that we're number one in Africa doesn't make us at a top spot worldwide. It doesn't. There are over 60 oil producing countries. And we are not in the top 10. We are not in the top 10.
I say we are upcoming.
We are an upcoming oil
producer.
Exactly. Now, if you look at the massive billions of barrels per day that some countries produce in a year, when you look at the top 10, so you will know that without OPEC, we will just be buried somewhere there. You understand, when it comes to oil revenue, that is, these giants can overshadow us, and then we will not even be able to see anything much, because for those countries, they have other things that is keeping them on the top. For us, we are just still depending on oil. And OPEC is one of the body that tries its best to see that oil keeps gaining its value, and we see some increase in the barrel prices. Imagine if we're going to be dependent, and in a country where our currency is not being needed for any other thing and just this oil, we will be covered. We will not make much. Let's be honest, if we look at this, as good as it might sound, or as that is what we will want, but being part of OPEC is what is helping us see the kind of revenue we see when it comes to oil. Because when they make this cut, is for them to be able to increase crude oil price per barrel. And then eventually, even with the cut, it means countries still get to see a significant amount of revenue and all of that. So I'm just hoping that, yes, however, for Naira to be in demand, we know what we need to do. For the countries that their currencies are in demand, is industrialization, is export. These are the two key things that make all the currencies that are doing better than ours, industrialization and export. And these are the two things we lack: export and industrialization. And until we get to that point, we will wish, and things will still remain the same. And that is why I keep saying it. We have a government that knows exactly what Nigeria needs to do, and we can be passionate and just wish. But what is the reality of Nigeria regarding what will be? And until we get to that level, these people might not invite us to be a part of them, even if they want to, because this is, what will we call it? It's like a corporation. It's like a treaty, it's like truce, it's like trade, whatever the word is. And they need to see the potential that if we become
Yeah, they also need to gain something
Exactly,
eventually.
exactly. They need to see the potential and where it will take us. We can't be part of this, and then you might become parasitic because you have nothing to give to us, and because we've made you a member, we are now the ones at the side of giving you. We need to also look at that. So until we have to prove ourselves that what we are worth being a part of these organizations, be it the G20 or the BRICS, and then we will be there. We know what we need to take us there.
Personally, I mean, maybe the reason why he brought up issues like this is just a way of trying to say the Nigerian government needs to wake up because the government is actually sleeping. He made mention of the fact that, I mean, in 2018, there was an agreement Nigeria went with China on our currency swap,
Yeah.
which we've not really done anything with that, and it's going to expire this year. So what about the government going back to China again? We know China is part of BRICS.
Yeah.
What about the Nigerian government going back to China again and possibly maybe review this agreement? We mentioned that of the trade balance that we had recently. So why don't we go to all of these other countries that we're trying to get into trade with them? You made mention of industrialization and all of that. What can we do? And no one that keep hammering the fact that, this dependence of oil will get us into trouble. Now we're already in trouble as it is, Rachel, because instead of actually putting our focus and, they said do not put your eggs in one basket, but it's obvious our eggs are all in one basket because the day the oil will dry, which I'm not praying for you to dry, Rachel, what will become of us? You made mention of the fact that the only reason we have relevance is because we are under OPEC. What happened when we are no longer producing oil? We are no longer with OPEC again because what will they do with us when we have nothing to offer? So I think it's high time, if we really want to be relevant, just like you said, we want other nations to actually, these bodies to actually invite us and say, we see the potential you have. Let us fix our refineries and see that we are also trying to refine our own oil by ourselves. Let us see that agriculture is doing something. Let us also see that, what about the cocoa, the palm oil that we've been talking about? We saw where the president is saying that very soon we'll start exporting. And I said amen, because just like you said, it's one thing to wish. It's another thing to see the work being put to work. So I am hoping, honestly, Rachel, that, when we have passionate people talking, just like we said, it's one thing for them to talk. But I'm hoping to see other voices. We have them. We have those voices. I'm just hoping that they won't be silent and then looking at what they can do on their own end. But let us see that we do the right thing. Exporting, we keep saying, patronize locally made things. Start from there, but we don't. From our shoes to our hair to our everything are all imported. So how on earth do we want to be part of those countries or be relevant eventually when we are actually doing all of this? So we hope that better things will happen. Well, let us quickly round it up. I think talking about reps rejecting the bill that is saying that, for anybody that will be contesting, especially for president or governor, you actually have to have a first degree. And we are seeing where most of the speaker or the members rather from the south west were like, of course, it's very true. And then we're seeing that some of our members from the down north here are saying that, I mean, that is not necessary, because we are trying to say that we need people who are actually ready to serve and they're not really depending so much on education and one thing or the other. But I mean, listening to both sides of argument, Rachel, if you ask me personally, those excuses didn't make sense. Imagine if you say in an organization that a person who is a cleaner is actually having a PhD, for example, and then we're having the CEO of the organization just having a primary school certificate. That is an eyesore. And I'm hoping that our members will also see it from that point of view. Of course, we're talking about people who are intellectually sound, but you cannot be intellectually sound when we don't give education the priority that it needs. And from the way things are moving, I think we're trying to downplay and trying to say, education is not important, while we know that education is very, very paramount and very, very, we should take it with all seriousness, because it's what is needed to make any economy thrive. When you sit down with other world leaders, you should be able to open your mouth, and they are sure that when you're opening your mouth, something reasonable will come out. And we know that we're having other members say, no wonder we're having our leaders dodging debates, because they have nothing to say. If you have what it takes, you'll be ready for any debate whenever you're called upon. You're not afraid. And no wonder I said in the morning, no wonder we see when they are being given whatever they are going to address the nation, they have no idea what they are even reading, some of our leaders. Why? Because they didn't even go or really further earlier to actually know that some of these words are saying what they mean and how they will affect the people. So we are hoping that in as much as it has been rejected anyway. But I'm hoping someday to be revealed again, reviewed, so that we'll be able to see that, you know what, let us give education the right respect, permit me to use, because it's really, really needed in a time where things are not moving well. We need people who are intellectually sound to make decisions on behalf of Nigerians.
It only says or shows rather the mindset of our northern leaders. If you sit down and kick education in such a way and making it look like it's valid for somebody's passion for, you know what, that sounds like trash. I mean, with no offense, like they can take the offense though, Sele, but look at why, Sele, we are backward when it comes to education in the north. It's because we have leaders sitting down there that are downplaying education. The moment you start having a group of leaders that downplay education at whatsoever level, it already shows you that we are going to, maybe the word will be harsh, forever be backward, because there is no economy. There is no economy whatsoever that thrives without education. Because education is one too many things. It's not just about the degree. It's the process. It's what it exposes you to. It's how it enlightens you. It's how it makes you a better person. And it's important for you to pass through those four walls of education. Do you know the problem we have over the years? Perhaps the practicality of what we learn in school, but not that we do not have what is good or important to take from school. And we're just supposed to change the model and how we go about education in the country. But for us to have lawmakers to sit down and downplay that, you know what, we don't need education, it shows you that, you know what, perhaps the North is going to keep remaining backward when it comes to education, and we'll keep seeing the South going high, and eventually we will keep having leaders leading us that are not educated, and they will tell us it's passion for leadership and what you have to offer, and we'll keep seeing ourselves not going forward.
Very true, Rachel. I just hope we'll change our mindset about that. You just hit the nail on the head, and I think it's important that also our leaders looking at things for that point of view. If we really want to be relevant, no wonder, have anybody wondered that any organization, especially in the North, when we have places in the North that are supposed to be making influence, people do not care about it. But let us have the same organization built in the South. Then you see that so much attention is being given. Allocations that's supposed to go to make sure these places are blooming. You see that they are giving them. But here in the North, because you are not knowledgeable of what you are supposed to get, we keep saying, just take a look at some of our organizations over here in the North, then you really know that, you know what, no wonder they are the way they are. Well, we hope that we'll see better things being done. Well, Rachel, thank you so much for doing this with me. All right, and also thank you to our viewers, thank you to our supporters for keeping the moment with us again on Nigeria Now. Until we come tomorrow, to have a blessed day ahead.